stop what you're doing right now. Because if you receive Social Security, there is a brand new bank rule that went into effect this month, and it could directly affect when your money hits your account, how much you can access on the first day, and in some cases, whether your check shows up the way you expect it to at all. I'm not here to scare you. I'm here to make sure you are protected. So stay with me because the next few minutes could save you a lot of frustration and a lot of money. Welcome back, everyone. If you're new here, this channel is dedicated to keeping you informed about everything that affects your retirement, your Social Security benefits, and your financial security. And today we are covering something that is affecting seniors right now. In April 2026, millions of Americans rely on their Social Security direct deposit as the foundation of their monthly budget. For many of you watching, that deposit doesn't just pay a bill, it pays the rent, it fills the refrigerator, it covers the prescription co-pays. It is not just a payment, it is your lifeline. And when a new banking rule steps into the middle of that, you deserve to know exactly what is happening and what you need to do about it. So today we are going to walk through everything clearly and simply. No financial jargon, no confusing terms, just plain English, the way it should be. Here's what happened. Federal regulators, working alongside the Social Security Administration and U.S. Treasury, have implemented updated guidelines for how banks and credit unions must handle federal benefit deposits, including Social Security retirement benefits, SSDI disability payments, SSI, and VA benefits. These changes became effective April 1, 2026. At the heart of this update is something called the Account Verification and Funds Availability Rule. That sounds complicated, but let me break it down for you in plain terms. In the past, when your Social Security payment was deposited electronically into your bank account, most banks would make those funds available to you immediately, or by the very next morning at the latest. That was the standard most of us were used to. But under this new rule, banks are now permitted, and in some cases required, to run additional verification steps on federal benefit deposits before releasing them to your full account balance. Now here's the part most people miss. The reason this rule was introduced is actually about fraud protection. There has been a dramatic rise in account takeover scams and identity theft targeting seniors. Criminals have been intercepting direct deposits by changing banking information on file with the Social Security Administration. The new rule is meant to add a layer of protection. But here is the catch. For some people, that extra step can create a temporary delay in access to your own money. And if you are not prepared for it, that delay can throw off your entire monthly budget. Let's talk about who this affects, because it is not a one-size-fits-all situation. If you are a retired worker receiving Social Security retirement benefits through direct deposit, you are in the group most likely to notice this change, especially if you recently switched banks, opened a new account, or updated your banking information with the SSA within the last 6 months. If you receive Social Security disability insurance, known as SSDI, and your deposit goes to an account that was opened in the past year, or that has had limited activity, your bank may flag your deposit for additional review under the new rule. If you are a spouse or survivor receiving benefits on behalf of a deceased worker, your account is also being looked at more carefully under this updated protocol, particularly if the beneficiary name and the account holder name don't match exactly. Public sector retirees who receive a pension alongside their Social Security, including former teachers, firefighters, and government workers, may face a slightly different issue. If your pension and Social Security are deposited into the same account, the combined deposit pattern can sometimes trigger what is called an unusual deposit flag at certain banks. And if you receive Supplemental Security Income, SSI, the rules are a bit different for you because SSI payments follow a slightly different processing timeline. We will get to that in a moment. Pay close attention to this. The people most at risk of experiencing a disruption are those who recently changed banks, changed their direct deposit account information, or have accounts at smaller community banks or credit unions that are still updating their internal systems to comply with this new regulation. Let me give you a real-life picture of what this looks like, because I want this to feel concrete for you. Let's talk about Martha. Martha is 72 years old, lives in Ohio, and has been receiving her Social Security retirement check via direct deposit for 11 years. Last February, she switched from her old regional bank to a larger national bank because the new bank offered free checking for seniors. She updated her direct deposit information with the Social Security Administration in March, and everything seemed fine. Her April 2026 payment was supposed to arrive on the second Wednesday of the month, just like always. But on that Wednesday morning, she checked her account and saw her balance hadn't changed. She called the bank. They told her the deposit had been received, but was in a pending verification status because it was the first deposit from a federal agency into the new account. They said it would be released within 1 to 3 business days. For Martha, that meant she had to wait almost 4 days before she could pay her rent, which was already due. She didn't lose any money, but she nearly missed a rent payment, got charged a late fee, and spent 3 days worried sick that something was wrong with her benefits. Martha's situation is going to happen to thousands of seniors this month. And the only thing separating someone like Martha from a real financial crisis is knowing about this ahead of time and having a small buffer or backup plan in place. Now let me give you a second example, and this one is a little more serious. Robert is 68, lives in Florida, and receives both SSDI and a small pension from his years working for a county government. He has had the same account for 20 years. But last year, his daughter noticed he was showing signs of cognitive decline and helped him add her name to the account as a co-owner so she could help manage his finances. When his April deposit came in, the bank system flagged the account because the beneficiary name on file with the Social Security Administration, Robert's name alone, did not match the dual ownership status of the updated account. The bank froze that deposit for 5 business days while they processed what they called a beneficiary mismatch review. Robert couldn't pay his electric bill. He couldn't fill 2 of his prescriptions, and it took 4 phone calls, including one to the SSA directly, before the issue was fully sorted out. Robert did not lose a single dollar. But he lost 5 days of access to money that was rightfully his, and at 68 with health challenges, that kind of stress is not a small thing. This is where it gets serious. If you do nothing, if you simply assume everything will work out fine because it always has before, here is what you could be walking into. You could arrive at your bank on the day your payment is due and find it hasn't cleared. If your rent is set up on auto pay, it could bounce. If your utilities are on auto pay, they could fail. If you have a prescription scheduled to be filled and you need to pay a copay, you might not be able to cover it. And if you go into overdraft trying to cover a bill while waiting for your deposit to clear, your bank will charge you overdraft fees. Fees that could cost you $25 or $35, even $50 per transaction. Now imagine that happening not once, but 2 or 3 times in a single week. And here's the part that keeps me up at night. The people who are least likely to check their account on the morning their deposit is due are often the people who need that money the most. If you are on a fixed income and every dollar is already spoken for, a 3-day delay is not an inconvenience. It is a crisis. And the way to avoid that crisis is simple, but only if you know about it ahead of time. So let's talk about what you need to do. Right now, this week, here are your steps, as clearly as I can give them to you. 1. Call your bank and ask one simple question. Call the customer service number on the back of your debit card and ask, under the new federal benefit verification rules, will my Social Security deposit be available immediately on the day it arrives? If they say yes, confirm that in writing, ask them to send you an email or note it in your account. If they say there could be a delay, ask how long and what you can do to prevent it. Log into your My Social Security account online and confirm your direct deposit information is accurate. Go to SSA.gov and sign in. Check that the bank account name, number, and routing number are exactly correct. Even 1 digit off can create a verification flag. If you haven't set up an online account, ask a trusted family member or go to your local SSA office and ask them to check it for you. Make sure the name on your bank account matches the name on your Social Security record exactly. This is the #1 reason deposits get flagged. If your Social Security card says Robert James Williams, but your bank account says Bob Williams, that discrepancy can trigger a review. Contact your bank to ensure the name on the account matches. If you recently changed banks or updated your direct deposit information, give your bank a heads up. Call them before your next payment is due, tell them you are a Social Security beneficiary, and ask them to note your account so the first deposit processes smoothly. Many banks have a process for this, but they won't do it automatically unless you ask. Create a small financial buffer if at all possible. I know this is easier said than done for many of you, But even having $100 to $200 set aside in a separate savings account, or even cash at home, can be the difference between a stressful week and a manageable one if your deposit is delayed by even 2 or 3 days. 6. If you have automatic bill payments due the same week as your deposit, consider shifting the due dates. Most utility companies, credit card companies, and even some landlords will allow you to change your auto-pay date with one simple phone call. If your deposit normally arrives on the 14th, try to schedule your auto-pay bills for the 16th or 17th, giving yourself a 2-day cushion. 7. If you experience a delay, do not panic. Contact your bank first, then the SSA. Call your bank and ask them to check the status of the deposit. Ask specifically if it has been received and is in a verification hold. If the bank confirms it was received, then you know it is a bank issue, not an SSA issue, and the bank must release it within the regulatory timeframe. If your bank says they have no record of receiving it, then call SSA at 1-800-772-1213. Now here's the part most people miss. If you receive Supplemental Security Income, SSI, your payments are handled through a slightly different system. SSI is administered by the Social Security Administration, but funded differently than retirement or disability benefits. Under the new rule, SSI deposits that go to accounts flagged for verification may be subject to an additional 1 to 2 business day hold at certain banks. Because SSI recipients are often the most financially vulnerable, many relying on that deposit for food, housing, and essential needs, this is particularly important. If you receive SSI, please take steps 1 through 4 above immediately. And if you encounter any hold on your payment, contact your local SSA office in person if possible. Showing up in person and explaining your financial hardship can sometimes accelerate the release of a held deposit. Now here's something I want to be fair about. Because not every part of this update is bad news. The Social Security Administration has worked alongside these new banking guidelines specifically to reduce fraud. Last year alone, billions of dollars in Social Security benefits were stolen through account takeover schemes. Criminals who called seniors, pretended to be from the SSA, convinced them to change their direct deposit information, and redirected their payments. This new rule is designed to make that kind of theft much harder. The SSA has also expanded its fraud detection team and is working directly with major banks to help them identify legitimate deposits more quickly. They have updated their secure deposit certification codes, which means that verified long-standing accounts should see little to no disruption at all. The people most likely to experience any kind of hold are those with newer accounts or recently changed information, which is exactly why those of you in that category need to take action now. Pay close attention to this. There is also a new safeguard built into this rule that actually benefits you. If your bank holds your Social Security deposit for more than 2 business days without a valid legal reason, they are now required under the updated regulation to notify you in writing, and in some cases, they may be required to compensate you for costs incurred due to the delay. That is a protection that did not exist before. So while the rule adds a verification step, it also gives you more rights than you had before when things go wrong. Here's what I want you to take away from today. You have worked your whole life for these benefits. Every paycheck you ever earned, a portion went toward the system that is now sending you that deposit every month. You earned it. You deserve it. And you deserve to have access to it on time, every time, without confusion or stress. The world of banking and government regulations keeps changing. And sometimes those changes, even when they are meant to protect you, can create bumps in the road if you are not prepared. That is exactly why this channel exists. Not to alarm you, not to overwhelm you, but to make sure you never get caught off guard by something you could have easily handled if someone had just told you about it in plain English. You are not alone in this. There are tens of millions of Americans in exactly the same situation as you. Retirees, survivors, disability recipients, spouses, all navigating these changes together. And the more informed you are, the stronger you are. So please, take 5 minutes this week to make one phone call to your bank. Log into your My Social Security account and double-check your information. And talk to someone you trust, a family member, a friend, a neighbor, and share what you've learned today. Because I promise you, there is someone in your life who needs to hear this, and has no idea this change is happening right now. If this video helped you, please take 2 seconds right now and hit that like button. It tells us you want more updates like this, and it helps us reach other seniors who need this information. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do it now. We post updates like this every week, and you don't want to miss the next one. And most importantly, please share this video. Send it to a friend, a sibling, a parent, a neighbor. You might just save someone from a very stressful situation this month. That share button is right there. And it costs you nothing, but could mean everything to someone who needs it. Thank you for watching. Stay informed, stay protected, and we'll see you in the next one.